Woo! Yeah. Fight night, baby! Fight night! Yeah!
Fight day.
Fight day!
Fight day.
Fight day! Start it over! Start it over! Fight day! Fight day,
Start
baby!
the whole show over. It's fight day. It'll be fight evening by the time the main card starts, and we love that. As we welcome you to the UFC Vegas 73, not preview show. It is the People's Pre-Fight Show, the pre-fight Q&A. Thank you for joining us. I am Mike Heck here in South Carolina, and joining me as always in these adventures, or most times, the baddest stash in MMA, Casey Leydon. He cleared the mic.
Yeah!
Nice. I thought you were going to fall over on that
Yeah.
last one, which would have been, just cherry on top.
I was doing some rehearsals before off camera, so I was ready. I'm a professional.
Great job.
Thank
So, we got UFC Vegas 73 coming up in about 30 or so minutes. Angela Hill, Mackenzie Dern is the main event. But until these fights begin, we are here to take your questions about this card and I guess whatever else you want to talk about. But first things first, Casey, you and I were talking about this a little bit off air. This card has like no star power at all. This is not going to keep a whole, like if there's things going on in the area, if there's a county fair going on, you're probably going to go to the county fair and not watch this card. But it doesn't mean it's going to be a bad watch, if that makes sense. Like I think a lot of these fights are going to be very competitive. There's only like one probably true squash match on the card. And you can make a compelling case for each of these fights that either guy or gal can win. So it's not a bad card. They're just outside of wins and losses. And yeah, the winner pay, if you will, the win show stuff. There's just not a lot of stakes here. But I think for the viewer today, looking at these matchups, it's not a great card on paper, but I think the matchups themselves are actually pretty good. Like I think the matchmaking was done well. There's just not a ton of recognizable names, if you will, for the casual audience. Is that how you view this as well?
Pretty much. Like I said before, like I'm kind of an outlier. I actually kind of like this fight card, but I get it because there's no real high stakes. There's no one like you can't. I mean, I think Dern and Angela Hill are the only ranked fighters in top 15, and outside of that, I mean, like exciting fighters. I mean, just guys with storylines, but I mean, I like the card, but yeah, I get it. Yeah, no, everyone's still 4 or 5 wins away from title contention, and if that's all that matters, then yes, this card does suck, but these are good fights between with a lot of, I think, good matchups. I think exciting matchups. Buckley Fiallo, I think Dakota Godinez is a fun matchup. Can Shabazian become the golden boy again? Can Anthony Hernandez get that Rodolfo Vieira kind of hype behind him again? I get it. I'm being maybe overselling it, but I like the card. But if the county fair is in town.
Yeah. If you're a hardcore MMA fan, you're probably going to like this card. But if you're not, you're probably not going to pay all that much. You're probably going to watch PGA Championship today and then turn on the main card, which it's a good sports watching experience. But I think it's going to be a fun watch. So hopefully when we do the post-fight show, we're talking about, hey, this is a lot more fun than a lot of people thought it would be. So
don't judge a card till it happens.
Yeah, I hate that argument, but we're allowed to judge a card on paper. But I do think these fights, a lot of these fights are competitive. And if you look at the betting lines, there's only one like ginormous favorite. That's Natalia Silva. Every other fight is Joaquin Buckley's minus 210, and that's it. Everybody else is a favorite. No one is above minus 200 outside of Joaquin Buckley and Natalia Silva. That's it.
Yeah. And how many UFC debutants are there? Debutants, is that the right word? Yeah. Yeah. Corbin is
Urbina, maybe? But he was on the Ultimate Fighter. Like he had an actual UFC fight. That's a great question. Normally there's somebody that is like filling in on short notice or getting a debut. Does Urbina actually have a UFC? Yes, he does. The Brian Battle fight. That's right. The finale, but depends on if you want to caught that. But he hasn't. This will be his first fight since August 2021. So I don't know if you want to count the finale, like the tough finals for that division as a UFC fight, which technically it is. Then no, there's none. But if you're just like, well, this is like the first real fight, like non-tough fight, then yes. But I guess there isn't, which is that's a great trivia question. Who wants to go back and find a card where there's not one fighter making his debut or his or her debut on the entire card? Interesting. All right. So throw your questions in the chat. We'll pull them up and we'll go until the first punches are thrown.
Let me go. Let me get my little shot clock up here. Forgot to put that up there. Oops. Get that logo out of the way. All right. Move that over. Come on. Move over clock. There we go. All right. So let's go do the questions. I want to bring this. I don't know if you watched the LFA card last night, but I'm going to go ahead and throw this up here.
How about Jacoby Jones, new LFA lightweight champion? Well done, Jacoby Jones.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the fight. I heard about it, but I didn't watch the fight.
Great fight. I'm going to go and talk about this fight, especially because my teammate was fighting Jacoby Jones. He was the favorite, Jean-Paul. And credit Jacoby Jones, man. He put a whooping on CMMA's kind of biggest prospect. Wrestling. Got on top of him and just smashed him with elbows. It sucked because the elbow wound up splitting him in the forehead, a big cut. Ref had to stop it, but he was winning the fight. I hate fights at the end of cuts, but that's just how it goes. That's what elbows do. So congratulations, Kobe Jones. And but still, watch out for Jean-Paul. The kid's a killer. Oh my God, I watched him train for this fight. I'm almost shocked. I can't. When you see some of these like next level athletes train, I'm like, how are they ever gonna lose a fight? They look just so unbelievable, and then they wind up losing a fight. So you're like, man, it's just anything happens in a fight. It's kind of crazy and just emotions and roller coasters of everything. But congratulations, Jacoby Jones and his camp, man. So I expect I would expect Jacoby Jones will be fighting in the UFC or a bigger organization in his next fight. So cool.
Maybe contender series fight, perhaps.
Maybe the guy's good enough. Just sign him.
Yeah. Yeah. So is Ikram Aliskerov, and they made him fight on the contender series.
Yeah,
it's craziness.
So all right.
Chase Hooper had some hype when I first heard of him. Right? What happened? He's 23 years old. He's 23. Like, he's young. He was on the contender series at 18, right? Like, he didn't get a full out deal. He got one of those developmental deals, which I really wish Dana would give more of those out on the contender series, because they're just signing everybody who gets a win. And I would say 70% of the contender series contract winners the last 2 seasons were not anywhere near UFC ready. They just weren't. So I wish they would do some more developmental deals and we could go that way. But Chase Hooper got a deal, had 3 fights on the regional scene, got a couple of finishes, came in, beat Daniel Tamer, which a lot of people expected him to do. And then the UFC threw him in there with Bruce Leroy, his second fight as like a 19-year-old in the UFC. And Caceres just beat his ass. And then he fights Peter Barrett in a crazy fight. Then he gets Steven Peterson, gets a finish of Felipe Calhares, and gets knocked up by Steve Garcia. And Steve Garcia is kind of knocking out everybody right now. So he's kind of losing the fights he's probably supposed to lose, and he's winning the fights that he should probably win. And this is kind of one of those matchups in a new division. So he's just so young. He's 23. He's nowhere near developed as a talent. But he just fought really good guys and lost to him. And
don't blame Chase Hooper on the hype. Chase Hooper is just a guy trying to fight. I mean, if the UFC, how can I say this? The UFC did a good job. Chase Hooper is a personality. and we all connect to him. Like I care. I've never met Chase Hooper, but for some reason I wish him. I wish him success. I don't want him like, oh, this guy sucks. He doesn't deserve to be here. I like the guy. I like the guy. He seems like a good dude, and I'm excited him moving 55. And yeah, if there was hype behind him, and I guess, were invested in him emotionally, and it didn't pay off. That's part of the fight game. I'm looking at that Caceres fight. I think you mentioned, I was like, I can't believe they booked. No. At the time, go back in your head. Was this a good fight, the book for Hooper and Caceres at the time? Do you remember?
No. I hated that match.
With Tapology, we're talking about hype. 85% of fans had Hooper winning that fight.
Really? That's wild.
Yeah,
that's 85. Insane.
I was interested. I went to go look at it. I was like, oh, I'm kind of curious. And of course, this was Hooper's first loss in the UFC. But I think people kind of oversell how bad he's done. He's just win one, loses one, win one, loses one. I mean,
he lost to like vets, like he lost to veteran savvy guys who. Yeah. I mean, Caceres was just kind of bad matchmaking, which, especially in hindsight, Steven Peterson was, I think Peterson missed weight for that fight too. But Peterson had like one of the best performances of his career, and then Steve Garcia is just melting everybody right now. So
Hooper was 71% of people thought Hooper was going to beat Peterson too. So I mean, there's just a lot of people like Chase Hooper, and there's a lot to like about him. So yeah, I guess I don't know. Do people feel burnt by supporting him? I don't hate it.
Which is insane, because if there's like one guy who, I mean, this is a UFC hype all day. This wasn't Chase Hooper being Connor and
I am
like
MMA.
None of it.
Yeah, he's like he never challenged Jose Aldo or anything.
Go back and watch our interviews, like the interviews we did. He's just a fun, laid back, just kind of charismatic in a sort of nerdy way kind of a guy. Like, people were like, oh, you're like Ben Askren's son. And rather than him like attack people on Twitter, he's like, all right, I'm just going to go to Ben Askren's house. We're going to do some like UFC Fight Pass material of me being his kid. Like, just hilarious. The dude's so funny. Like, everybody should be rooting for this guy. Yeah. He's just loves the sport. He's 23 years of age. He got this big opportunity. The promotion pushed him to the moon and will probably continue to do so. You just got to understand that, one, he's somewhat new. Two, he's lost to really good guys. And three, he's 23. He's 23. So maybe this move to 55 is like a good one for him. And we'll see. I think this fight's going to be really fun with Nick Fiore today.
Yeah, I will say about Hooper, though, it is always a giant risk for a fighter that young signing that UFC contract, because if you do take big losses, it's hard to come back. Even you're 21. I mean, you still got 10 more years at least. I'm just 10 more years as a professional fighter. But if you take 2 bad losses, 3 bad losses, like, it just sucks to think that your career could be over at 22. Or how old is Chase Hooper now? So he's 23?
23.
Yeah, 23. Yeah, your career could be over at 23. When you're not even, I want to say not near your prime, but you still got, you still got a lot of growing to do as a fighter. Like Hooper's literally still growing. Like, I'm not like he's going up to 55. So I'm excited about the fight. I like it. I like that it's not high on the card. I think a little less hype. Hooper kind of hidden on this card. Like, it's one of those things you don't even realize he's on the card. You look on Typology. Oh, there's Chase Hooper. So yeah, I'm excited. See what happens.
What's crazy is if Chase Hooper went on the Contender Series as a 20-year-old, he would have got no hype. None. Zero. Yeah. Nothing. Same thing with Raul Rosas Jr. Raul got the big push because he's 18. Or he was 17 when he was on the Contender Series. Gets on the UFC at 18. That number is just wild for people to think about. Like, wow, an 18-year-old is fighting inside of a cage. That's pretty crazy, especially in the UFC. So, yeah, maybe the pressure's off him a little bit, which is probably pretty cool to watch. This him and Nick are gonna have a good fight. I feel pretty strongly that this will be an enjoyable.
And that goes back to what I kind of said about the whole card. Yes, this fight has no significance on the lightweight rankings. No matter what happens, we're not going, hey man, watch out, Makhachev. watch out. It's, it's just a fight between two dudes that living their dream and just trying to get a win, and just take it like that, and don't try
Yeah.
to. That's all. That's all. And that's
Yeah.
what that's the modern UFC. That's we need to accept that of so many cards, so much content ESPN needs. Yeah, sometimes it's just fights and just between two dudes that want to win. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Oh. Okay, Mike, this is for you.
Uh-oh. Mike, are the Celtics cooked? No, I don't think they're cooked, but they're damn close. They're damn close. That was ugly last night. That one was worse than game one to me. That one was worse than game one because the Celtics took their best shot early and were still winning when they weren't playing great. And then they kind of poured it on a little bit, and I was feeling pretty good entering that fourth quarter, and then it just fell apart, man. They just got no balls. It drives me crazy. Like, that's how they lose games. They just got no balls. It's nuts. It just drives you crazy. Like, that's why they lose. It's not because Miami's better. It's just because they just have no balls. It drives me nuts. Especially when they lose like that. And that's how they lose all their games. They just piss away a lead, and they just suck. They sucked so bad in that fourth quarter. Why did you bring this up? I stayed up like super late to watch that shit. Just no. Go get those.
The roller coaster. The question, it started out going, no, they're not cooked. It was a bad game. To like 2 minutes later, they suck. They suck. I hate them.
They sucked in the fourth quarter. Major League 2, get the marbles. Get those marbles. Just put your foot on their throat and beat them. You're better. You are the better basketball team. You should have won both of those games. You pissed them both away. Stop pissing games away. Go to Miami, get a tan, and kick their ass in game 3 because you can't lose this game. You're cooked if you lose game 3.
All right.
They sucked in that fourth quarter. It pissed me off. Like, I wish I'm sitting there watching them just implode, and I'm like, I should have went to bed at like 8:30 like I wanted to because I was so tired. But I'm like, no. Like, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. And then I felt good until I was 3/4 asleep, and then they pissed that game away. And then I couldn't sleep after that because I was so friggin' angry at how shitty they played. Ugh.
All right. Is it out of your system? Good. All right.
Let's move on, for the love of God. Francis Marshall. I think it's a terrible stylistic matchup for Edmund, to be honest. Hernandez pushes an insane pace and can wrestle. I feel like Edmund has 5 minutes to find a finish or it's over. This is another very interesting fight on this card. Mostly from the Shabazian side. A lot of people feel like Anthony Hernandez is going to win this fight, and they feel like the matchmaking is kind of wacky for Edmund, or they just maybe not, they don't have the same faith they had in him. This is a tough fight for him. Like, this, to go from Dolce Lungiambula to Anthony Hernandez is a big leap. Do you feel like if Edmund can't get him out of there in the first 5 minutes, he could be in for a long one? Like a long night at the office?
No. I think Edmund, when he came into the UFC, was much like Chase Hooper. He was a kid. Edmund is only 25. He's at a new camp now. He's no longer. He's at a camp with professional fighters. Where he isn't the best guy in the gym. He is not the best guy in the room now. And he's with Extreme Couture, correct? Edmund?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Excellent camp. Eric, I have complete faith in Eric Nixick. No, I'm picking Edmund to win this fight. I think he still has a lot of potential, and I think he just got matched up very poorly and took some time off, got better, and this is a good matchup for both gentlemen. I think I'm gonna go with that. But I understand what people are saying, how they think this is a really bad matchup. Edmund's if he doesn't win in 2 minutes, he's gonna gas or everything. Anthony Hernandez, to me, he's not on the level of the three guys that Edmund lost to in a row, but he is near there in sense of styles, in sense of that he can take Edmund down and grind him out. That's so basically this is a fight where let's see if Edmund got better, to see if he can kind of kill those demons that kind of got him those last three fights that everyone kind of took him down and beat the crap out of him. So, and this is much like the main event in a sense. If he can keep it standing, he wins. If he can't keep it standing, he ain't winning.
I'm kind of I'm not fully on board where it's like he has to finish in 5 minutes, but I think he needs to finish in like a round and a half. Because the longer this fight goes, Hernandez is going to terrorize him. That's just the styles are not the. Shabazian can certainly win this fight. I ain't counting him out, but I do think Hernandez, for the most part, is a terror, and he's very durable and he's very tough to get out of there. And I think the longer this fight goes, obviously the better it is for Fluffy. So I am picking Fluffy to win. I'm picking him to get a late finish in this fight. I think it's going to be one of those ones where he's kind of going to need one. I think Shabazian gets a nice lead in the first. I think he probably does enough to win the second, but the momentum is swinging in Fluffy's direction, and I think Fluffy gets him out of there in the third. Like some sort of, oh, wow, what a comeback kind of submissions. So that's what I'm going with, but if Edmund comes out there, like Edmund winning in the first round, I kind of hope I don't see that. Only because I want to...
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I learned nothing from that. But if Edmund can win a decision or, if it's like 1-1 heading into the third and Shabazian, like, as AK loves to hear and say, he finds that dog in him in round 3 and Shabazian like wins the round cleanly and wins the fight.
He finds that Mike Perry in him. He finds that Mike Perry.
Yeah. He finds that Jimmy Buckets in him, that Jimmy Butler in him and wins that third round. Like, then I'll be like, all right, cool. Like, that's a big step. So
yeah,
I just don't, until I see it, I don't believe it.
Understandable.
But that's just kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
But I'm with you in some respects, Francis.
Yeah. I honestly, I hope it's a fight. I hope Edmund loses. I mean, I'm picking Edmund to win, but I almost hope he loses the first round. I hope he gets taken down. I hope he has to fight out of a deep submission, because I want to see if he can kind of come back and fight that adversity. And, and same thing for Fluffy. If he can kind of dominate a first round, but keep it going, and keep that domination throughout 3 rounds. So I like this fight a lot. I think it's really good matchmaking. I got no issue with it. So thank you for the question.
A good penultimate fight. Are we going to see Khamzat fight Usman in the cage or just on Twitter? Speaking of, I need to see it to believe it. That's everything Khamzat right now. We can speculate all we want. We can make our predictions of who he's going to fight and when he's going to fight all we want. But until he actually makes the walk and steps into the cage, I believe nothing at this point. So, but if you like, it's so hard to predict what the UFC's thinking right now, Casey. But if somehow you were able to sneak into the UFC matchmaking war room and you were looking at, some of the potential matchups that they're thinking about that are like oddly colored, do you think Khamzat Usman is one they're looking at? Do you think they're taking this seriously at 185? Because it's not happening at 170. Dana's been pretty clear on that. So what do you think?
Unless is Usman going to 70? I don't understand. I don't really understand the talk around this fight. I didn't think Usman was going to 185. Is he making a move? Did I miss this?
I don't know. He called for a fight with Chimaev, and Dana was like, sure, but we're not doing a catch weight, and it's got to be a 185.
Which I understand, because with Khamzat in the middleweight mix, I assume he's gonna be a middleweight. I would think if he fights Usman, you want Usman to be an 85er. And I think there's enough matchups out there that I don't. Basically, yeah, this would be a cool fight if it happens. I'd rather see Usman stay at 70. I don't really. This isn't a matchup I was like, oh, this one has to happen. I don't know.
I
I'm
just
not
don't know
crazy.
why
I
we're
just don't.
overthinking this. Why are we overthinking all of this? Why we're not just doing Hamza versus Paulo Costa on that
Yeah,
Abu
yeah.
Dhabi card.
That's
Like,
what I
what the
mean. Like,
hell?
there's so many other fights for Hamza. Like, I don't
Right.
get bringing a welterweight up that might not stay at middleweight. I don't.
Yeah. So
Why?
instead of chucking those two guys in there together in October, your good idea is, which by the way, I'm intrigued by to the nines. Let's throw Paulo Costa in there with Ikram Aliskerov. Let's do that. And then hope maybe one of those guys can turn around in 2.5 months to fight friggin' Hamzat Chimaev across the world. So, man, Paulo Costa obviously has, like, our speculation was exactly. Our speculation that fight is probably not, like, for real was accurate, because he went on Twitter and was like, no, it's lies. Kind of like how he felt about the Aljamain Sterling Sean O'Malley fight. Like, that fight is not done, but they just announced it. I don't know if any of these middleweight fights happen at this point that are all in the books, because I feel like you're gonna have to shuffle a whole bunch of this stuff up to get everything you want. You want Adesanya to fight on that September card. Who's he going to fight? Like, who's he going to fight? Duplessis and Whitaker fight 2 months before that.
Rip up that Whitaker contract. Just book Adesanya DDP. Just book it. He's done enough. I don't care if it's a mismatch. There's heat.
Yes, do it. In Sydney?
Heat. Yeah,
in Sydney,
heat.
do it.
Let's do it. I don't understand why Whitaker DDP is happening. I have no idea. No idea. Just book Whitaker, Hamzat. Boom. Right there.
No. Do Hamzat Paulo Costa. Do Whitaker,
Hamzat Paulo Costa. Or anyone.
Do Aliskerov versus
Whitaker,
Magomedov.
DDP should not fight anyone else. Yeah. DDP shouldn't fight anyone else other than Adesanya. It's just
Whitaker can fight Sean Strickland. That's fine.
Yeah,
Whitaker.
That's fine.
That's fine. And then the winner of that fight can fight the winner of the title fight. I'm okay with that. And just do Izzy versus DDP. Like, that fight is, we know what's going to happen. And if it happens in Sydney, Adesanya is going to look like a megastar. So, like, what are we doing here? Just do it now. Just do it now. You're going to risk Robert Whitaker getting in there with DDP and those two guys chucking him for 15 minutes? I don't know. You're just asking for a lot.
The weird thing is, like, say if DDP beats Whitaker and takes no damage, and, like, that doesn't hype up Adesanya DDP anymore. Just book it now. Let them even longer to kind of build up that tension. I don't get it. I don't know. I think we're in the same boat here. I don't. Yeah, it's not like Whitaker DDP is like the fight we have to see. Like, oh yeah, no, it's cool. It's a fight. Yeah. Whitaker needs to fight a top ranked guy, but.
If the card was happening in December, like, that's one thing, but
yeah,
it's not.
maybe, yeah, it's not, yeah, I don't get it.
I don't know.
Yeah. Someone just said, one more win for Whitaker.
Listen, I'll say that I have no issue with this take either, but just pull one of them. Yeah. Don't have him and DDP fight each other right now, because it's just silly.
Yeah.
Plus, Whitaker's got plus, no offense, I don't want to sound like a DDP hater, because I love watching DDP fight. That dude is just
he's fun to watch. It is fun to watch.
He's super fun to watch.
He's
incredibly fun to watch. Like, that's why Jed said, like, DDP versus Alex Pereira would be, like, his favorite fight of all time, because they would just go in there and be reckless and someone would just get destroyed. Robert Whitaker's not going to fight reckless against DDP. He's just going to probably pick him apart, and when it cruised to a 30-27. Like, and then what do you do with DDP? Like, it just kind of goes away for a while.
And then we run into that problem of Adesanya not having new opponents, because you eliminate all of his opponents by booking fights that aren't necessary.
And if you want to do the Whitaker fight, fine.
Just
like,
do the Whitaker fight.
Just pull him. Just pull him. Have Strickland fight DDP. That's fine.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. If you want to give Whitaker a title fight, you're right. Strickland DDP would be perfect.
That's fine.
Perfect. All right. Yeah. All right. Ooh.
How did Joaquin look at the weigh-in, and will the cut be too much? He looked great.
Yeah.
He looked great. He looked gigantic, but skinnier, if that makes sense. He looked shredded. Still looked huge, but just looked skinnier in like a healthy way. Didn't look bad at all.
No, he
The two fighters who missed weight looked 1,000 times worse than he did.
Yeah. Joaquin looked good. This fight should be exciting. Should be a fun fight. Cool. All right, cool. We are at 1:00. What's going on in the broadcast?
Just started. So they're doing the package of tonight at the UFC Apex. There's Mackenzie Dern. There's Angela Hill. Then they're going to do the open. So I would say we have at least 10 minutes.
All right.
10 to 15.
All right, here we go. Let me find some new questions. Where are we at? Oh, did you hear the news?
He did? When?
What?
When did that happen?
Thank you. Big if true. All right. Thank you, Oscar.
Oh, my God.
Omar.
I got to make some phone calls. No, I'm just joking. Yes, he did. And that's why they're going to PFL. Is the next 12 months, 12 to 18 months for the PFL? To me, what their next year and a half is going to look like is the most interesting thing in MMA. It's the most interesting story to me in all of MMA. Like how is this going to work? Because obviously we're happy for Francis. If you're not happy for Francis, like I don't know what to tell you. Nothing would have made you happy. But all the questions I have about it are on the PFL side. Like they are losing, like it cost them a lot. They are not going to profit off this for a very, very long time. But you're also putting out a purse of $2 million at least to fight Francis. So you know the line of fighters who are going to want to come to your promotion. It's going to be a long one. So I'm curious to see what they're going to be able to do to stand across from Francis in these fights. Because I know like some of the knocks on this have been, well, who's he going to fight? Elijah, Mateus Scheffel? Like nobody wants to watch those fights. That $2 million price tag makes things very, very interesting right now. So how can they sustain this? Who can they bring over in order to fight Francis? And does this deal attract other significant named free agents to want to go over there? Are they going to get the exact same thing that Francis got? Absolutely not. But will they see how happy the baddest man on the planet is and want to join forces with him? Wouldn't surprise me. So how intrigued are you by the next year plus for the PFL after making this deal?
Very intrigued. I mean, I understand all those questions fans have. I understand why Ngannou went this route. Personally, as a fan, I've never honestly been a fan of PFL. I just don't really like. I don't. There's a lot of aesthetics of the aesthetics of PFL's production. I just don't like. But they do have some good talent for sure, and they do have the baddest man on the planet. So yeah, that changes everything. And I don't really have a strong prediction. I just kind of want to see what happens, honestly. What you mentioned is the next move that's gonna be the big one. Like, will a top free agent, heavyweight free agent from the UFC, will they sign the PFL against it? And I think we don't know that yet because what do you say? He's not going to be fighting until 2024, correct? In the PFL cage. So we have what, 7-8 months, and I don't think we're quite aware of everyone's top contract status. But what I will say though, I think this is important. This is good for fighters and it is good for fans. I think that's the most important thing. Fighters are going to make more money, and fans are going to get bigger fights. They're going to get bigger fights in different promotions, which makes each promotion have to kind of up the ante and make their cards even better. So I think this is great for fans and fighters. But I'm so curious. Yeah. I'm so curious when I'm so.
Every PFL, single guy in every single UFC heavyweight, outside of probably Stipe and John Jones, because they're making really good money, I'm sure. I'd be stunned if every single one of them have not contacted their managers and been like, how many fights do I have left? Let's not resign. Let's try to get this PFL thing going, because God, I love Jed said this perfectly. We love Tai Tuivasa. Love him. Love him. He's a great personality. He could be a star in any promotion he fights in. He ain't making $2 million. If he has 3 or 4 fights left in his deal, he ain't making $2 million. Him and Francis would draw eyeballs. People would watch that fight. I would watch the hell out of that fight.
Hell yeah.
Like, that's super fun. Like, that's the thing. Like, these guys, if they have 1 or 2 fights left in their deal, unless the UFC is offering $2 million a fight, they're all going to try to go to PFL. All of them. They're all going to take a shot. They'd be crazy not to. So that's what's interesting about this. But also at the same, because the PFL has already kind of pulled this money aside. Like, all right, France is going to fight 3 times. That's at least $6 million we have to keep over here in order to make this happen. A lot can happen. And then, like, what happens if, like, this, like, we don't know how many fights, like, Aljamain Sterling has left, right? Like, what if, like, this whole Sean O'Malley thing just kind of pushes him over the edge? He's got 2 more fights left. He wins them both, and he's like, peace out, I'm gone. And he signs with the PFL and gets, like, this great deal. And then, like, there's just so much that can happen. PFL becomes a player. But I am with you, man. Watching their broadcasts are tough. They are tough. Not just because of they just overdo it with everything, with the production and the smart cage. I don't like the smart cage. It's so silly. It's too pro wrestling. I don't love it at all. The pacing of their cards is awful. It's so bad. And they just need to, they need to humble themselves a little bit, because they're more Chatri than Dana when they talk to the media, if that makes sense. Like, Dana doesn't give a shit what you think. He's stubborn, and, like, he's won, so it doesn't matter. He can say whatever you want. You can believe him. But you're just like, yeah, we're the number 2 promotion across all metrics. Really? I don't think that's true. How could you say that? Like, that's Chatri-esque. Come on now. You're not number 2 in all metrics. Are you insane? Get out of here. How many PFL fighters are in our global rankings right now? Like 2? Yeah. Come on.
That's yeah. So it's Power Slap, then PFL.
And then the NFL, NHL, NBA, WWE combined.
All combined. I can't even. Who are the PFL heavyweights right now? I don't know, actually.
I know Ante Elijah and Matthias Scheffel. That's it.
Oh, dude, I cannot recognize them. Names. I'm sorry, I can't. But you know,
we've also lost. They also suspended 9 of them for failing drug tests,
dude.
Like, that's bad. That's so bad. Okay, so here I'm gonna read off the heavyweight roster right now. You're gonna recognize some of these names.
Oh yeah.
Dennis Goltsov is number 1. Number 2, Maurice Green, former UFC fighter, the crochet boss.
Are you ranked number 2?
These are the current standings for this season of the PFL for the heavyweights. Yeah, 5 points. He's number 2. Danilo Marquez, number 3. Renan Ferreira, number 4. Matthias Scheffel, number 5. Number 6. Well, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 all have 0 points. Jorgen De Castro, former UFC fighter. Marcelo Nunez. Patrick Brady. Ante Delija, former champion. And Jordan Heiderman. Now, some of these, Brady, Delija, and Heiderman have not fought this season at all. But the other 7 have. So that's heavyweights. Those are all the heavyweights.
Yeah, okay. Well, whoever is fighting Francis in 2024 is not one of those guys.
No,
it's not gonna be one of those guys. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, but you know, also is gonna be a big. And this is the thing. I don't think we can really calculate yet. Between then and now, the idea is that Francis will have a big boxing match, correct?
Or just a boxing match.
Oh, a boxing match. Now the outcome, depending on who it is and the outcome of that actual boxing match, that I'm really curious how that changes his eventual MMA debut. Say he fights, I'm just going to throw Anthony Joshua. He loses a knockout. He gets knocked out in the 6th round. How much does that change him when we want to look at him as a PFL or whatever, baddest man on the planet? I don't know, because I don't think we've been there as fans. Maybe with Conor a little bit, when Conor lost to Mayweather, he didn't really lose too much momentum in the MMA world, but that's Conor too. I don't really have a good answer for this. We're talking a lot of hypotheticals, but hypotheticals that will happen. I just don't know which way it's gonna go. Is it gonna be against a random heavyweight? Is it gonna be against Tyson Fury level? Like if he faces like a Wilder or a Fury, loses, wins, whatever. I don't see how the PFL can it's just, MMA is gonna look small compared to if he fights a big boxing match. I know it's gonna be just it's a giant step back. It feels like,
like just have him box Hasim Rahman Jr. Like that's somebody who's known in boxing, and just put him on like a misfits box. Like who cares? Yeah. Like you're fighting a dude who people know. Just go knock his ass out and scratch the itch. Because it just doesn't seem like any of these bigger names are coming right now. Yeah. And why would they? Why would any of those guys fight Francis Ngannou right now? This is heavyweight. This ain't Conor and Floyd. Like we knew the ending of the story. Like we knew how the book was going to end. This one, we feel like we know, but heavyweights get weird and something could land and you never know. Like it's different when you're 275 pounds and just chucking them. You know what I mean? So I just don't know if Francis is going to get those kinds of fights. Like, God bless him for trying. If he gets it, like, good for him. I just don't know if, the interest that, Tyson Fury has just wolf ticketed the shit out of him, and I just kind of feel bad for that.
I don't. I've kind of given up on the Tyson. I was just like, whatever.
Yeah, not going to happen. First fight is underway, actually.
Oh,
it's Temba Garimbo versus Takashi Sato. But we can still do bonus predictions. Who you got for bonuses? And then we'll do our main card picks.
Hold on. Let me bring the card up real quick. Go faster, internet. All right. Bonuses. I am going Diego Ferreira with a submission in round 1. And Shabazian with a knockout in round 2.
Damn.
For bonuses. And fight of the night, I'm going to go with. I'm gonna go Fialho Buckley.
That's a good pick. I will go Natalia Silva.
Okay.
Because she's got the right opponent to do that. Buckley's a good pick. I'll go Fluffy. Fluffy Hernandez with a submission because it's gonna be a comeback. I'm going Chase Hooper, Nick Fiore as the fight of the night.
Oh, that'd be awesome if it is. That'd be awesome.
But there's a few. Buckley Fiala's a good pick. Mahashata Slava Claus is a good pick too.
I was thinking that too. Yeah.
But yeah, or this could be a bonus heavy one. So let me just pull up the main card real quick. So I forget if it's 5 or 6 fights. I'm pretty sure it's 5. All right, Michael Johnson, CDF. You're picking CDF by submission.
Submission round 1. Yep.
I'm picking Michael Johnson 3rd round KO. Another kind of a comeback victory, if you will. Joaquin Buckley 2nd round knockout for me.
I'm going Fialho knockout in round 3, but in a fight of the night.
Oh man,
I like that fight a lot. Actually, I think it's gonna be a cool fight. Yeah,
I got Lupi Godinez by decision, but Emily Ducote could also win by decision. It's a close one, but I'm going with Lupi here.
I'm a big Lupi fan, so I'm going Lupi decision. An exciting fight, a good fight, good competitive fight.
Fluffy comeback 3rd round sub. You're going Shabazian knockout. Yeah,
knockout round 2 after facing serious adversity in round 1. Yeah.
That'd be something. Sato inside control. Temba trying to do something, and he does it. Wow, it's a scramble fest. And now he's got his back. Holy smokes. Both hooks in. Ooh. All right, main event. I got Angela Hill by decision.
Angela Hill, decision. 49-46.
All right, there you go. Hit the music. Fights are happening. We also got we'll have coverage on the Haney Lomachenko card as well.
Oh, yeah.
We'll keep you updated on that. I'm sure we'll have some highlights of the Katie Taylor fight that is happening pretty soon. And we'll be back after the UFC fights to talk all about them on the post-fight show. So enjoy, everybody. For Casey, I am Mike Heck. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Skip the county fair. Whatever I said, skip the county fair. Watch some UFC fights tonight. And join us for the post show.